Yes. Madam, you can start.
Okay, good afternoon. So today I'll be discussing the topic plant growth and development. So let me start with question number one. And the first part of this questions will be discussed on the subtopics growth, characters, measurement, phases of growth, growth rate, conditions, differentiation, development, and different phenomena like heterophily, plasticity, etc. So let us begin with question number one. Okay. So question number one, senescence is an active developmental cellular process in the growth and functioning of a flowering plant, and it is indicated in. Okay, so you have to find out growth and functioning of a flowering plant after senescence is indicated in which of these parts. Option 1 annual plants, option 2 leaf abscission, 3 floral plants, and 4 is vessels and trachea differentiation. So what is senescence, students? Senescence is nothing but it is the death of the cells, we say. Okay, or we have another reference also where senescence is called as aging. As per this question, developmental process, senescence should be considered as a developmental process which provides functioning to that plant parts. Okay, so option 1 annual plants would not be right. In that different parts are there. Okay, so overall annual plant is not right. Leaf abscission is not right. Floral plants, yes, floral plants will be there, but overall entire plant would be wrong. So option 4 vessels and trachea differentiation is the most appropriate answer here. Why vessels and trachea differentiation? Because if you just remember what are these vessels and tracheates, they are the components of xylem elements. Okay, and these are the dead elements. If you just recall, students, these two are the dead elements of xylem, and they undergo senescence, they lose the protoplasm, then only they become functional. Okay, that's why we say that senescence in these components lead to growth and functioning of that particular plant. Okay, so option number 4 vessels and trachea differentiation is the right answer for this question. Question number 2, following diagram shows heterophily in dash and dash. Okay, so you can just look at the figure here. There are two figures given, A and B, and this diagram shows heterophily. So what is heterophily? First of all, heterophily is nothing but appearance of different types of leaves in the lifespan of a plant. Okay, and this heterophily, if you just recall, students, it is a phenomenon which is related to plasticity. Okay, so under plasticity, heterophily is an example. So what is plasticity also? Plasticity is nothing but plants follow different pathways with respect to changes in environmental conditions. The phenomenon is called as plasticity, and under that we have heterophily as an example. So this diagrams what you are seeing, A and B. So A diagram is basically for the plant larkspur. Okay, and this B diagram excuse me, B is for the plant buttercup. Okay, so what is this A? There is a difference between A and B diagram. Both are showing heterophily, no doubt, but larkspur heterophily is related to different phases of life. That means leaves patterns are different in juvenile phase and as well as in adult phase. Whereas in buttercup, if you see the leaf pattern, different types of leaf appear in plants which in leaves which are exposed to air and leaves which are in water. So option 3, larkspur and buttercup is the answer for this question number 2. Let us come to question number 3 here. Question number 3, two plants which are fixed in two clinostats in a horizontal position. Okay, clinostat A is rotated while clinostat B is stationary. What will happen? Option number 1, in A, roots and shoots will move upward. In B, roots and shoots will move downward. In A, roots and stems will grow horizontally, and in B, roots will move down and stem upward. Option 3, in A, roots and shoots will move downward, and in B, roots and shoots will move upward. Option 4, in A, roots will move downward and stem upward, and in B, roots will move upward and stem downward. So students, you have to understand this question. Two plants are fixed in two clinostat. First of all, you should know what is a clinostat. Clinostat is nothing but it is an apparatus where you can use a plant which is held up in a vase like, and you can held up that plant, or you can tie that plant to a stand like apparatus. Okay, so two clinostats are in horizontal position. You can imagine they are not vertical, they are, plants are fixed in a horizontal position, and A is rotated whereas B is stationary, right? A is rotated, B is stationary. So what is the effect of gravity? We have to understand here. So if A is rotated, so there should be some change in the clinostat A, or the plant held up in A. B is constant, or B is stationary. So here what happens? Option 1, if you see once again, in A, roots and shoots will move upward, okay, and in B, roots and shoots will move downward. This option is wrong. Why? Because if A is rotated, so roots and stems both will grow horizontally in A, because it is not stationary, it is being under rotation. So roots, development of roots and shoot system will be horizontal in A, whereas in B there should not be any change because B is stationary, students. So the effect of gravity, roots will grow. You know that roots are positively geotrophic and shoot is negatively geotrophic. That concept applies here. So here clinostat B stationary means nothing effect, no effect should be there on the plant in with respect to clinostat B. So option A, roots and shoots will move upward in A, is totally wrong. Let us come to option B. In A, roots and stems will grow horizontally. Yes, this is right. Why? Because it is rotated. Because of rotation, both of them will grow horizontally. In B, roots will move down and stem upward, because this is the normal growth where roots moving down and stem moving upward. So that's the reason option 2 is the right answer for this question number 3. Let us come to the question number 4 here, students. Question number 4, identify the correct statement with respect to growth. Okay, so option 1, let us see, it is a reversible permanent increase in size of an organ or its parts. Okay, so in this statement, one thing is given wrong, that is reversible. Okay, so what is growth? If you just recall, growth is nothing but irreversible permanent increase in size of an organ or its parts. So reversible word is wrong. So this option is wrong. It is not the answer. Okay, let us come to option 2. It is accompanied by metabolic processes that occur without the expense of energy. Even this is wrong, because growth can never occur without the expense of energy. Whenever there is a growth, definitely there should be an expenditure of energy, because metabolism requires energy expenditure. So statement 2 is also wrong there. So let us come to statement 3. Plant growth is generally indeterminate. Yes, absolutely right. Option 3 is the right answer here. Plant growth is indeterminate. What is the meaning of indeterminate? The indeterminate growth is nothing but ability to grow throughout the life. Okay, so plants will grow throughout their life. Why do they grow throughout their life? Because in different parts of the plant body, we have tissues which are known as meristems. That's the reason plant growth is said to be indeterminate. Option 3 is the right statement. Option 4, expansion of a leaf cannot be called as growth, is wrong. It can be called as part of growth. So for question number 4, answer option 3 is the right answer. Question number 5. Let us see now question number 5. Okay, right. So which equation will satisfy the following growth curve? Okay, so students, you can see a diagrammatic representation, a graphical representation is given here, where time versus plant growth, x-axis and y-axis you can see here, and there is a linear relationship between these two. And this graph, what is this graph? This graph is nothing but depicting the arithmetic growth in the plant system. So if you just remember, we have seen two types of growth in this chapter. One is the arithmetic growth and another one is the geometric growth. Okay, so arithmetic meaning of arithmetic growth, in which one cell continues to divide and other cell differentiates and develops. Okay, whereas in geometric growth, out of the two cells, both the cells continue to divide. That makes the major difference between arithmetic and geometric growth here. So which equation will satisfy the following growth curve? So what is this equation? Option number 3, LT is equal to L naught plus RT. This is the equation that is applicable to this graph. So what is the designation for all these terms? Also you should know, students. LT is nothing but length of the plant at time t. L naught is nothing but length at time 0, okay, or the initial length. R is nothing but growth rate, or you can say elongation per unit time, and T is nothing but time here. So option 3 is the right answer. And you can just remember, this is a simple equation which is similar to the equation of straight line, that is what we call as y is equal to mx plus c, which is nothing but equation of straight line applicable to this arithmetic growth. So option 3 is the answer for this question. Question number 6, let us discuss now. Question number 6, the form of growth wherein new cells are always being added to the plant body where the activity of the meristem is called as exponential growth, indeterminate growth, open form of growth, arithmetic growth. Okay, so what is this? This is an NCERT statement directly asked as a question here. Form of growth wherein new cells are always being added. I told few minutes back, in plant the growth is said to be indeterminate, okay, and new cells are being added continuously by the activity of meristem. What is this phenomenon called as? Exponential growth, indeterminate, open form of growth, arithmetic growth. This is called as open form of growth. Okay, so students, what is open form of growth? The form in which new cells will be continuously added due to the activity of meristem. Option 3 is the right answer for this question. Let us go to the next question. Question number 7 here. Question number 7, which of the following is not the feature of cells of meristematic zone? Okay, so if you just recall, there are different zones we have studied last year. Okay, it is called as meristematic zone, zone of elongation, and zone of maturation. And each of these zones have different characteristics, features of these cells. Okay, so question asked here is the feature of meristematic zone. Let us see the options. Option 1, cell walls are primary in nature. Option 2, rich in protoplasm. Option 3, increased vacuolation. And last is possess large conspicuous nuclei, which is not a feature of meristem. Option number 3, increased vacuolation is not a feature of meristem. Remaining cell walls are primary in nature, 100% right, because only primary walls will be there because these cells are actively dividing, children. They are rich in protoplasm, yes, okay, definitely right. Possess large conspicuous nucleus is also right. Increased vacuolation is not the feature here, whereas increased vacuolation is the feature of cells of phase of elongation. Okay, phase of elongation, not the phase of meristematic zone. So option 3, increased vacuolation, is the answer for this particular question. Okay, now let us go to the next question here, that is question number 8. Right. Question number 8. Which phenomenon is exhibited by the following diagrams? Okay. So option 1, dedifferentiation in coriander. Option 2, heterophyly in larkspur. Option 3, heterophyly in buttercup. And option 4 is morphogenesis in cotton. So if you just carefully see this particular diagram, okay, so what do you observe in this particular diagram? What is this diagram depicting? This diagram is depicting heterophily in buttercup. Okay, I have already said heterophily in larkspur and buttercup conditions are different. In one, leaves differ in juvenile phase and the adult phase, whereas in other, the leaves differ when they're exposed to air and when they are in water. So for this diagram is for option number 3, that is heterophily in buttercup. Okay. Now question number 9. The measure of the ability of a plant to produce new plant material is referred to as. Okay. When the plant has ability to add up new material to its body, what is that measure? Okay. Whether it is called as growth rate or biomass enhancement, efficiency index or de-differentiation. So measure of ability is nothing but it is known as efficiency index, option number 3. Okay, growth rate is nothing but we know we say growth with respect to time is called as growth rate. Okay, biomass enhancement, when growth rate is more, definitely enhancement will be more, and biomass growth we can measure in terms of dry weight, in terms of volume, cell mass, etc. De-differentiation is a phenomenon where differentiated cells lose the ability, they gain the ability to divide once again. Okay, so that process is called as a de-differentiation. Okay, what is de-differentiation? Once again I will tell here. There are 3 phenomena you have studied, children: differentiation, de-differentiation and redifferentiation. I repeat, differentiation, de-differentiation and redifferentiation. Okay, differentiation, when meristematic cells convert to permanently differentiated, they lose the ability to divide. When such permanently differentiated cells, okay, once again gain the ability to divide, that phenomenon is called as de-differentiation. Okay, and after dividing for some time, when they again differentiate for the second time, then it is called as redifferentiation. I hope you are clear with this concepts. Very simple. So that is option 4, but this is not the answer. As I said you, option 3 is the answer for this question. Right, now let us discuss the next question here. Question number 10. Okay, plants follows different pathways in response to environment or phases of life to form different kinds of structures. This ability is called as. Okay, I've already said what is this ability called as. When they follow different pathways in response to environmental conditions or different phases of life, this ability is nothing but option 3, plasticity. Okay, what is it? Plasticity. You have different options here like differentiation, just now I said. Okay, losing the ability to divide and performing specific function is called differentiation. Vernalization, vernalization is nothing but induction of flowering when exposure to low temperature, and photoperiodism is nothing but induction of flowering based upon the periodic exposure to light. Okay, plants will show different response to exposure to light. Okay, so that phenomenon is called as photoperiodism. Answer is option 3 for this question. Question number 11. Question number 11 here. Sum of growth and differentiation is, look at the question. Sum of growth and differentiation is option 1, plasticity, option 2, heterophily, option 3, differentiation, and option 4 is development. Okay, so what is the question? Sum of growth and differentiation means when two things are happening at a time. Okay, growth also is there, differentiation also is there, then definitely what happens ultimately is nothing but development. So we say that development is a combination of both growth and differentiation. Option 4 is the answer for this question. So question number 12, let us see now. The site of perception of light and dark duration are the roots, stems, flowers and leaves. Okay, so very important question, NCERT based question. Site of perception of light and dark duration are nothing but roots. No, roots cannot do that. Okay, stems also is not the answer here. The direct answer for this question is option 4, that is leaves, because leaves will having a hormonal substance that will respond to the light and dark perception, and that will be transported from the leaf to the different parts. So option 4, leaf, is the answer for this question. Question number 13. Which of the following is correct about the development of a mature plant from a zygote? Okay, you have to read the question very carefully. Which of the following is correct about the development of a mature plant from a zygote? Option 1, follows a precise and ordered succession of events. Okay, yes, definitely this is right. When the development is occurring, okay, from a zygote, a single zygote, you know that a single zygote will develop into what? Embryo, and that embryo will develop into a new mature plant or plantlet. Okay, then what are the events is asked here. It follows a precise and ordered succession, 100% right. Only differentiation occurs would be wrong. Why it is wrong, students? Because only differentiation, no, along with differentiation division also occurs. Okay, cell differentiation as well as cell division both will occur, because you know that zygote is unicellular. It is a single cell structure that should convert into a multicellular well developed structure, that is mature plant. So only differentiation is not sufficient. Option 2 is wrong. Occurs due to environmental effect only would be wrong. This only is wrong. There are environmental effects, no doubt. Along with that, there are many intrinsic factors. Okay, like genetic factors is very, very important, that controls the entire development. Option 4, none of these. So what is the answer for this question? Option number 1, following a precise and ordered succession of events. Question number 14, let us discuss. Question number 14, what is the special feature of meristem? Okay, it's present in every tissue, its capacity to divide, its capacity to self-perpetuate, and both 2 and 3. Okay, let us see the option. It's present in every tissue would be wrong. Okay, all the tissues do not have meristem, students, because you know, if you see the structure of different roots, you have already studied the TS, transfer sections of roots, transfer section of stems, etc. There are differences in monocots and dicots. Definitely, meristem can be present in certain parts. For example, if you take leaf structure, meristem is not there. So generally here what happens? So every tissue cannot be the right option here. Its capacity to divide, 100%, this is the right answer. Its capacity to self-perpetuate. What is the meaning of self-perpetuate? It is nothing but ability to continue to exist. Okay, the thing which has the ability to continue and exist, that's called as self perpetuation. That is there definitely in meristem. So both option 2 and 3 are the right answers. So hence option 4 would be the answer for this question. Next question, question number 15. Secondary growth of plant occurs due to, okay, so very important question. Secondary growth of plant occurs due to option number 1, lateral meristem, option 2, vascular cambium, option 3, cork cambium, and option 4 is all of these. Okay, so what is the meaning? Secondary growth is due to what? Lateral meristem is there. Okay, what is lateral meristem? Meristem we divide into different types. If you just recall back, apical meristem, lateral meristem, and intercalary meristem. So that is not the main answer here. Vascular cambium, cork cambium, that can be one option. Vascular cambium is also right. Cork cambium is also right. All of these would be the definite answer for this question. Okay, I'm telling once again. Okay, only lateral meristem cannot be the answer, because the remaining options also, if you see, vascular and cork cambium, both are responsible for what? The secondary growth of plants. So option number 4, all of these is the answer. So if you just recall, what is vascular cambium and cork cambium, students? Vascular cambium is one which is responsible for intrastellar secondary growth, and cork cambium is responsible for the extrastellar secondary growth, and these two are nothing but types of lateral meristem. Hence option 4 is the right answer. Okay, question number 16. At cellular level, growth is an increase in cytoplasm, increase in size, increase in nuclear size, and increase in protoplasm. Okay, so at cellular level, what is growth? You have to understand. Okay, increase in cytoplasm, increase in size, increase in nuclear size, and increase in protoplasm. Definitely option 4 is the right answer, because you are talking at cellular level. You are not talking at the whole tissue level or the whole organismic level. You are talking at cellular level. Okay, lowest level. So in that aspect, we say that increase in protoplasm is the right answer for this question. Okay, question number 17. Growth of pollen tube is measured in terms of option 1, weight, option 2, width, option 3, volume, and option 4 is length. Okay, so how you are going to measure the growth of pollen tube. So what is this pollen tube? First of all, you should know pollen tube is nothing but it is an extension of the pollen grain. When pollen germinates, a pollen tube is formed, okay, and that migrates throughout the length of the style and reaches the embryo sac to carry out fertilization. Okay, so how you are going to measure the growth? Is it in terms of weight? No, not in terms of width also, not in terms of volume also, but always in terms of length. So option 4 is the right answer, because you know that, as I said you, it travels throughout the length of the style. Once it germinates on the stigma, it travels throughout the length of the style, reaches the embryo sac, and then carries out fertilization. Hence, you have to measure in terms of length. Option 4 is the right answer. Question number 18. In arithmetic growth, other than the daughter cells, what happens to the other cells? Okay, so arithmetic growth, I have already said what is arithmetic growth. Okay, we know that out of the two daughter cells, one daughter cell will continue to divide and the other daughter cells will undergo maturation or differentiation, we say. Okay, so question is, in arithmetic growth, other than the daughter cell, what happens to the other cells is asking. Okay, option 1, they undergo maturation. Option 2, they undergo differentiation. Option 3, both 1 and 2. And option 4 is they undergo continuous cell division. You all know that the other cells does not divide. Again and again I am telling, it does not divide. So option 1 is right, undergoing maturation. 2 is also right, undergoing differentiation. And so option 3, both 1 and 2 will be the appropriate answer for this question number 18. Okay. Now, students, I'll go to question number 19. Slow initial growth is called as, okay, slow initial growth. So, what is this slow initial growth? If you just recall the diagram, the graphical representation of the plant growth, there are different phases. If you just recall, lag phase is the first phase, then log phase or the exponential phase, and then we have the stationary phase. Like that, different phases are there. Now, question asked is, what is the question asked? Slow initial growth. What is that called as? Definitely, slow initial growth is always nothing but it is the lag phase, okay, or the first phase or the initial phase. Then after lag phase, the cells enter into the log phase. The log phase is nothing but also called as the exponential phase, that is option 3. But the answer for this question is option number 2. Okay. Now, question number 20. Appearance and fall of fruits occur due to hormonal influence, okay, and growth and development, differentiation, both 1 and 2. Okay, so we know that during growth, appearance of and falling of fruits itself a part of it. So it occurs due to what factors is asked here. Is it due to hormonal influence? 100%. Hormones regulate a lot of things here for the appearance and falling of the fruits, definitely. Growth and development, differentiation, growth and development can definitely is the right option here, because falling of fruits, appearance of fruits, proper growth of the fruits, okay, everything depends on this. Differentiation, no. With respect to fruits, we cannot say differentiation. With respect to cells and all, we can say differentiation. Okay, that's the reason both 1 and 2 is the right answer. Option 4 is the right answer for this question. Question number 21. What is irreversible permanent increase in size of an organ or its part or even of an individual cell called as? Option number 1, development. Option 2, differentiation. Option 3, growth. And option 4 is maturation. So student, this is a direct line from your textbook NCERT. Irreversible permanent increase in size is nothing but called as growth. Option 3 is the answer for this question. Now, let me go to the next question. Question number 22 here. Question number 22. Okay. Why the growth of a plant is unique? Okay. Why you can say that the growth of a plant is unique? Option number 1, you can see here. The plant retains the capacity of unlimited growth. Plant can regenerate the same characters. There is no change in offspring characters. None of these. So, what do you understand by this? Why the growth of a plant is unique? The main reason is the plant retains the capacity of unlimited growth. Multiple times also I have said about this. Plant growth is said to be what? Indeterminate. Indeterminate means what I have already said. Indeterminate refers to ability to grow throughout the life. That's why the growth is said to be unique. Option 1 is the right answer. Plant can regenerate same characters, may or may not be, depends on what type of reproduction it takes over. There is no change in offspring characters would be again wrong. Again, it depends on what type of reproduction it takes up. Okay, so that's the reason option 1 we are left out with, and that is 100% the right answer. Question number 23, the unique ability to retain the capacity of growth in plants is due to the presence of, yes. So why do the plant retain the capacity to grow? That is asked here. Okay. Option 1, lifetime differentiation. Option 2, activator hormones. Option 3, chlorophyll to utilize energy lifetime. And option 4 is meristems at certain locations. In other words, okay, meristems are present at certain locations. What is the reason they divide continuously is asked here. Lifetime differentiation, no, that's not the reason here. Activator hormones are not responsible, because you know in our body also hormones are there, but animal cells do not have the capacity to retain the growth or the capacity to grow throughout the life. Okay, chlorophyll to utilize energy lifetime, no, because the plant may lose chlorophyll also due to some or the other reasons. Meristems present at certain locations would be definitely the right answer here, because of meristematic tissue. What is meristem? All of you know very well. Meristem is nothing but actively dividing cells or actively dividing tissue. Okay, these are present at different locations. You, as I told you, they may be present in the stem part, root part, inside the steel, outside the steel, like that. These meristems are responsible for development or growth throughout the lifetime. So option 4 is the right answer. Question number 24, cells that further make up the plant body lose capacity to divide, okay, then lose capacity to grow, and then lose capacity to differentiate, none of these. So what is the question? You have to read carefully. Cells that further make up the plant body, okay, they lose capacity to divide, they lose capacity to grow, they lose capacity to differentiate, and then none of the above. So option 1, lose capacity to divide, would be the appropriate answer. Okay, why? Because they are further making up the plant body, means they are undergoing differentiation. Okay, you have to understand, when they are able to make up the plant body, they are undergoing what? Differentiation. So that when they undergo differentiation, they lose automatically the capacity to divide. That is the meaning here. Okay, so option 1 is the right answer. Lose capacity to grow, this will not be there, because after de-differentiation also they can gain the capacity to grow. So that's why this is not the answer. Lose capacity to differentiate, totally wrong. So option 1 is the right answer. Secondary growth of plants occurs by increase in length, increase in girth, formation of bark and wood, and more than one options are correct. So students, what do you understand? Secondary growth of plants. Already I studied in the in the last year's chapter anatomy, where secondary growth in dicot, stem and root you have studied. So you know, you can just recall why this happens. It occurs due to what? Increase in length would not be the answer here. Increase in girth, yes, increase in thickness, the formation of bark, formation of cork cambium, formation of cork, okay, all these formation of lenticels, all these are nothing but part of increase in girth. So 2 option is right here. Formation of bark and wood, yeah, just now I said, even this is 100% right, because they are the products of what? Secondary growth. Hence 2 and 3 both are right here. That's the reason more than one options are correct. Option 4 is the answer. Okay, now question number 26. Which of the following is not the permanent parameter for measuring growth? Which is not a parameter for measuring growth? Okay, wet weight, dry weight, volume, and last one is nothing but the cell number. So as per your NCERT, it says the major methods for understanding the plant growth is, as per NCERT, dry weight is mentioned. Yes, that is right. Volume as well as the cell number. Hence, we are left out with option that is nothing but wet weight. So, option number 1 is the right answer here. Okay. So now let us go to the next question. Question number 27. Growth of pollen tube is measured in terms of, okay, option 1 weight, option 2 width, option 3 volume, and option 4 is nothing but length. Okay, so this question we have come across few minutes back only. It's a repeated question here, need not worry. Pollen tube, how we are going to measure, I've already said option 4 is the right answer for this question. Option 4 is the right answer. Okay, so now let us go to the next question. Right. Question number 28. Which of the following are characteristics of the cells in meristematic region? Right. So as I said you, there are different regions, meristematic regions, region of meristem, region of elongation, and region of maturation, we say. Which of the following are the characteristics of cells in the meristematic region? Option 1, rich in protoplasm. Option 2 is large nucleus, and option 3 is thin plasma membrane, and option 4 is both 1 and 2. So you have to find out properties of meristematic cells. So rich in protoplasm, yes, definitely it is a characteristics of meristem, and large nucleus also is a characteristic. Thin plasma membrane is wrong here. Thin plasma membrane should not be there. Instead, thin cell walls would have been right here. Instead of cell walls, what is given is, instead of cell wall, plasma membrane is given here. So students, that's the reason option 3 would not be proper here. So now we are left out with option number 4, that is both 1 and 2. Okay, so 28, option 4 is the right answer. Question number 29. Which of the following is not the characteristics of the cells in elongation phase? Okay, similar question only. Now what is asked in this question is properties of elongation phase. Option 1, let us see, cell enlargement. Option 2, new cell wall deposition. Option 3, decrease in volume, and last option is both 1 and 2. So what is the answer? Decrease in volume, because you know that cells in elongation phase, they show increased vacuolation and increase in volume. So option 3 totally would be wrong here. That's the reason it becomes the answer. Answer is option number 3. Question number 30. Increase in growth per unit time is called as option 1, growth rate. Second is growth speed. Third is both 1 and 2. And last one is none of these. So what is the answer? Option number 1, growth rate is the answer. Okay, growth rate. Question number 20, growth rate. So, 30. I'm sorry, question number 30. Answer is option number 1. Now what I will do, students, I'll go to the next part of this chapter so that we can start discussing few questions on plant growth regulators also. Right. So I have come to now question number 68 of this chapter, where I'll be starting questions on plant growth regulators. Under that, first one is auxin. I'll discuss questions on auxin. Okay. So which PGR controls xylem differentiation? Which PGR controls xylem differentiation? So option 1, auxin. Okay. Option number 2 is gibberellic acid. Option number 3 is cytokinin, and last one is ethylene. Okay. So PGR means what? Plant growth regulator controlling xylem differentiation is nothing but auxin. Okay. So what is auxin? You know that auxin, cytokinin, gibberellin, gibberellic acid, ethylene, ABA, all these are plant growth hormones. Some of them are plant growth stimulators, some are inhibitors. So xylem differentiation is under the control of auxin. Next question. High concentration of synthetic auxin 2,4-D is used as an vitamin, fertilizer, insecticide, and weedicide. Okay. So 2,4-D, what is this 2,4-D? 2,4-dichlorophenoxyestic acid. It is nothing but a synthetic auxin, we say, and this is commonly used as a weedicide to eliminate dicot weeds. Okay. Which weeds I said? Dicotyledonous weeds, not for monocots. So option 4 is the appropriate answer for this question. 2,4-D is used for removing the weeds. Next question. Removal of apical bud in tea plantation and in hedge making is of great significance as it does what? Okay. So you have to just recall auxins do one important thing, and that is nothing but they promote apical dominance. Okay, what is apical dominance, student? Apical dominance is nothing but the apex will inhibit the growth of lateral buds. Okay, lateral shoots will not develop. So what we do is apical bud will be removed. Okay, and particularly this is done in tea plantation and hedge plant. This is of great importance. Why? Because option 1 promotes lateral bud initiation, promotes growth of lateral bud, helps in development of more tannins in leaf, and promotes the formation of better leaves. Option 2, promoting growth of lateral bud. When you remove the apical bud in tea plantation, that will inhibit apical dominance, because you know that when auxins are there is apical dominance. When apical bud is removed, indirectly you are removing the auxins. So definitely this promotes the growth of lateral bud, and this is very important in tea plantation because we want more number of branches. That's the reason option 2 is the right answer. Next question, TIBA is, okay, TIBA is gibberellic acid, an antioxin, an auxin, and kynetin. What is this TIBA? TIBA is nothing but 2,3,5 triiodobenzoic acid. 2,3,5 triiodobenzoic acid, and it functions as an antioxin. Option number 2 is the answer. It is given to suppress the effect of auxins, hence it acts as an antioxin. Okay. Now, let us go to the next question. Question number 72 here, you can see question number 72. Okay. Go through the experiment shown in the following diagram. You have to carefully see the diagram, and after what is there in the diagram, you can see a shoot system is shown here where lateral buds are shown and apical bud is there. Apical bud is removed and it is replaced with a plug containing
Because I was busy meeting with madam.
IAA, okay, indolestic acid,
So
and
evening after 6 o'clock.
then
Call.
you are just providing it with a plug which is rich in indolestic acid, IAA, or auxin is provided. Auxin is
Not required.
provided,
That's what I'm saying. It's not
it
necessary.
will
You can leave like that only.
definitely inhibit what?
Fine,
It
fine.
will
No problem.
definitely inhibit
Can
apical dominance.
no
Okay,
problem.
sorry, it will
Leave.
promote apical dominance. I repeat my words. When auxins are supplemented, it promotes apical dominance and it suppresses the growth of lateral buds, so it remains as it is. That is the reason option 1 should be the answer. The other options, if you see 2, 3, and 4, lateral buds are growing. This will never happen in presence of IAA. IAA will suppress the growth of lateral buds. Hence, option 1 is the answer. Next question. Which of the following statements is not correct about auxins? Okay, they help to initiate rooting in stem cuttings. This is a right statement. They promote flowering in pineapple. Okay, this is also a right statement. It is widely applied in tea plantation and hedge making. Yes, because they what do you say, suppress this one, promote apical dominance, and they initiate germination in peanut seeds. Okay, so it is widely applied in tea plantations and hedge making. What do you mean by this widely applied? I have already said when auxins are there, they promote apical dominance, which is wrong. You have to find out option number 3. It is widely applied. It is not applied, students. It is not applied in tea plantation and hedge making. In tea plantation and hedge making, what is applied is removal of apical bud is applied. Don't get confused with the previous question. Removal of apical bud is applied. So option 3 would be the answer for this question. Next question, 74. Auxins promote flowering in tomatoes, pineapples, oranges, none. Okay. So NCERT line, auxins promotes flowering in definitely option number 2, that is pineapple. Okay. NCERT line, promotion of flowering occurs in case of pineapple. In most higher plants, the growing apical bud inhibits the growth of lateral bud. This phenomenon is called as, I have already said multiple times, this phenomenon is called as apical dominance. Option number 4. Okay. So now I'll just again go to the next, this one, subheadings here. Yes, I'll just discuss now few questions on gibberellins. Gibberellins. So come to question number 94. Okay, gibberellins. Which of the following hormones causes fruits like apples to elongate and improve its shape? Okay. Option number 1, gibberellic acid. Option 2, abscisic acid, naphthalinistic acid, and 2,4-D, 2,4-dichlorophenoxyacid acid. Fruits like apples and apples to elongate and improve the shape is done by gibberellic acid. Option number 1. Next question, which of the following hormones can replace vernalization? So I have already said what is vernalization. Induction of flowering when exposed to low temperature is called as vernalization. And which hormones can replace hormones can replace vernalization is nothing but option number 4 again, that is gibberellins. Okay, instead of low temperature, you can apply or supplement gibberellic acid to induce flowering. Okay, so option number 4. 96. Spraying sugarcane with gibberellins increase the yield by as much as 20 tons per acre, and gibberellic acid performs it. Okay, gibberellic acid performs it. So how it is going to happen is asked here. Let us see the options by going to the next page. How it is done by improving the quality of fruit, by making plants with rosette habit, by internodal elongation, by delaying senescence. So what is the answer here? Option number 3, by internodal elongation. Okay, so we all know that in case of sugar canes, what is gibberellic acid is sprayed, and why this is sprayed? Because if you do that, the yield will be increased by nearly about 20 tons per acre. Okay, and how this is happening is by the process of internodal elongation. Option number 3 is the answer. Gibberellins can promote seed germination because of their influence on rate of cell division, production of hydrolyzing enzymes, synthetic of abscisic acid, and absorption of water through hard seed coats. Okay, so what is the answer? Gibberellins, how they are promoting the seed germination, students? Seed germination is under the control of activity of enzymes. Okay, higher the hydrolytic enzymes are active, germination will be faster. That's the reason we say that gibberellins will promote production of hydrolytic enzymes. Option 2 is the right answer for this particular question. Okay. Question number 98. Which of the following hormones can substitute for low temperature and can replace cold treatment in relative photo periods? Okay, so similar questions we have discussed. Okay, vernalization. Which hormone can replace vernalization? Same question. Low temperature means we are talking about what? Vernalization only. Okay, so what is the answer? Again, gibberellic acid is the answer for this question. Consider the following statements regarding gibberellins. Which of the following are correct? They cause fruits like apple to elongate and improve its shape. This statement is 100% right. They promote bolting in beet and cabbages. Yes, this is also right. What is bolting? Bolting is nothing but elongation of internode prior to flowering is called as bolting. Statement B is right. They promote nutrient mobilization is wrong. They are used to synchronize fruit set in pineapples is also not the function of gibberellin. Hence, option A and B. Option A and B, that is nothing but third option will be the right answer for this question. Next question. What is used to speed up the malting process in brewing industry? Okay, direct NCERT question. So we know that gibberellic acid 3, GA3, and GA3 you should know, student. This is one of the commonest gibberellic acid which is used. Okay, out many gibberellic acids have been discovered, but GA3 is the most common out of that, and that is used in the malting process in brewing industry. So you know that in brewing industry, alcoholic beverages are prepared. Beer is one among them. And there is a process that is called as malting where enzymes are released. Okay, hydrolytic enzymes like amylases, alpha amylases, beta amylases are released, and they hydrolyze the starch which is present in the malt. Okay, or which is present in the barley mash. So option 4 is the right answer. Next, sir. Shall we stop?
Yes, madam. Yes.
Okay. So, okay, sir. Fine. Thank you.